One of the most anticipated features I am waiting for in War Thunder is the introduction of active radar homing missiles and their impact on BVR combat. I know, Gaijin has technically already introduced active radar homing missiles with the Phoenix missiles we got on the F-14, and they are a terrible company for doing it this way. I actually hate the way they balance this, as it is very clearly that it only serves the purpose of making the game frustrating to play. It's actually an asshole move. So for this video I will assume that Gaijin stops being the worst game dev that has ever existed and actually gets their stuff together and bring medium range active radar homing missiles at the same time for every nation. And I believe that all of this will happen this year. There are more and more nations getting fighters capable of using these missiles with every update. One of them is the Gripen, which, as Gaijin recently revealed, is already coming this year. Now, you could just put the Gripen into the game without AMRAAMs, but in my honest opinion that would defeat the purpose. If we're already getting decently advanced 4th gen fighters, we might as well get the missiles that came with them. But this will present a problem, as not all missiles and fighters are created equal. There are a number of nations that can receive early AMRAAMs. For example, the Gripen can carry MMA, so does the J-37D, but Gaijin does what Gaijin does. The British Tornado can, if we forget the fact that the Tornado is a terrible fighter platform. A bunch of F-16 variants can probably also carry them. MiG-29s could be equipped with R-77s. But that's about it. What about France, you might ask? Well, the current French top-tier plane, the Mirage 2000-5F, can carry active radar homing missiles, but they are not really on the level of early AMRAAMs. MIGAs, from what I can tell, have about the range of a C variant M120 and are thrust vectoring. Not to mention that the IR version of the MIGA is on a whole other level when compared to the current IR missiles available in War Thunder. Japan is an interesting one, as the current top fighter, the F-16AJ, is completely fictional and therefore they could probably just give it AMRAAMs anyway. Some people might say, what about the F-2? And to that I have to say, I don't know, it's basically a better F-16, has an AESA radar and carries the AAM-4, which would also be a lot better than early AMRAAMs, so this seems overkill for now. China could get PL-12 missiles for the J-8, but those also outperform early AMRAAMs, so it's a similar issue as with the Mirage and the F-2. Some nations like Japan and Israel and the US could get the F-15, which can solve some issues, but it would probably dominate if introduced without raising the BR ceiling, because the F-15 is a pretty competent fighter, if you ask me. Italy's future is a weird one. As far as I know, they also put AMRAAMs on their ADF F-16s, but those were only a stopgap to the Eurofighter. Now, I don't think the game is ready for a Eurofighter yet, especially when you consider that we could also get IRIS-T missiles with that. What I think is most likely to happen is that Gaijin will either introduce only AMRAAMs and R-77s for a couple of planes, and accept that some nations will suck for a couple of months, like they did back in the day when Italy's top fighter was an F-104S without countermeasures and only armed with 6 AIM-9Bs. Or they will go a different route and give all nations their respective medium-range BVR missiles and accept that balance will probably break and shift towards certain minor nations like France for now. The most likely option of these two is the first one, as bigger trees generate more income for Gaijins, so they probably want to avoid discouraging people from playing them. All this will be a pretty big issue going forward, and Gaijin should take the time it needs to balance this. We all know they probably won't, although we have seen some decent improvements in their behavior recently, especially when it comes to sticking to their roadmap of improving the game. Cheers, guys.